my question is, does childhood trauma such as like sexual abuse affect people's sexuality or their appetite?
Of course.
You said, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it turned people into like little hornballs if they've been like touched on too early, or if
Yeah.
they saw stuff or been exposed to stuff too early.
I definitely believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's.
I kind of got strong opinions about that stuff though.
I know. That's why I said I don't know. I don't want to ask you this because I don't know what you're gonna say. But anyway, go ahead. Talk your talk.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know because I don't know if it's going to be received in the correct way. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead and say.
Because I like, I believe that, you know what I'm saying? I believe that homosexuality is a learned behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind if you know what I'm saying, homosexual or not. Don't bother me at all. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. But I believe that it's a learned behavior. You know what I'm saying? So, like you were saying, like, if you got a young boy, you know what I'm saying, who was molested at a young age, but it's not always like that. But to me, you know what I'm saying, I believe that sometimes that if a young boy is molested at a young age by a man, you know what I'm saying, then he's going to be a homosexual. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in some cases, like, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Some cases it's not. You know what I'm saying? So, and the same thing with, I believe, with girls. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You kind of respond different ways, and then like you got the kids like molested by, maybe some of their family members, and they grow up and they kind of get aroused by certain things that they may see or hear. You know what I'm saying? So, that joint get kind of deep. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, you right
yeah,
though.
that's kind of a hard topic. You know what I'm saying?
That's my point though. But you know what I think I should do? I know a lot
Yeah.
of gay people or whatever. I think I should ask them like, have they ever been through something, and it kind of will prove that point. Like, that's really what it is because even like with myself, I know I've told you like when I was like 4, man, that was like my youngest experience. I'm pretty sure I did tell you, but that was like my first experience with a girl, and she basically came on to me, and I just went along with it. Not to say she took advantage of me, but we were definitely young, and I think that
Yeah.
kind of got me into where I'm at now, where I do find women attractive. However, um, just like I said, I think I had a thing for like older people, but that's because I've been touched on by older people. So I don't fuck with nobody that's older than me no more. Can't do y'all old heads no more. You got to be 31 or that's it. That's all. No 32, no 34, no 35.
I mean, I understand that. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
just joking. I'm
I
just
definitely
joking.
get that and understand that, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, even with the little girl that came on to you, like, she probably had a woman coming on to her, you know what I'm saying? Or it might even been a man coming on to her. Like, she's like, well, they did it to me, I'm going to do it to you, you know what I'm saying? It's like a big cycle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the cycle goes on.
Yeah. But sometimes it don't always happen. Like, I got one of my little cousins, you know what I'm saying? He was real young, you know what I'm saying? He was like 6 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He got molested, you know what I'm saying? Woman though, you know what I'm saying? A much older woman, you know what I'm saying? And she pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it be kind of different for, you know what I'm saying, for dudes. Cause every dudes kind of think use that as like a badge of honor. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, nigga, I've been fucking since I was 6. But really, you was getting molested, dog. You know what I'm saying?
You said you was molested, dog. You,
You know what I'm saying?
but for real, you are absolutely right. You right. But you know what? There are some people who, and I think there was a post going on where people were like, "Oh, if somebody homophobic, that mean they're gay." But I had one situation where I told you about a person that something happened to them, but they was older, and I want to say that led them to be homophobic because that happened to them. So it's not the fact that oh, he was gay, he was undercover. It's more the fact that somebody laced this shit and fucked him up and messed him up or whatever. So that's kind of like how he became homophobic because That right there, I don't know. I don't. That's why I get what you're saying. Like you don't want to come off as homophobic because a lot of people say, "Oh, I was born this way. I can't change," and da 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 da. Me on a personal level, like you, I guess I do agree with you to say it's learned, but then too, it's like I don't know. I think people are who they are, but you
Yeah, you
right.
know what I'm saying? Because then, like, I know they be trying to, like, explain it scientifically, and then I think in some ways that can happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got a imbalance of chromosomes, then I do see how that could lead you to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you know that men have the X and Y chromosome, and women only have, you know what I'm saying, the X chromosome. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you have a hormonal imbalance, then I can see how if you're male or female, then how that would lead you to lean more to maybe the same sex than normal. You know what I'm saying? But that's just not the case with everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So yeah, I guess that'll come as yeah, you think that is a factor because you kind of went left with it, which ain't no big deal because we was basically talking about does it affect people sexuality, like making them gay or whatever, or do they make them more want to do like I said, have a high sex drive, but
Oh yeah, that too though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like some things that may or may not happen to people when they was younger. Well, that have happened to people. They find out they get older and they still enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but
So
it's yeah. It is weird. I ain't gonna say it's weird. It's life. I think it's all like you said. I think it all boils down to a science, and even if it's just like mental, that's still science because that's how your brain works. It's. I think that's what it all about. That. But you already know that's where I'm at with it anyway. With everything, everything gotta equal up. 1 + 1 gotta equal 2 all day long. Cause if it don't, then it ain't right. Which I don't know. That's my logic to everything. Not to say I'm right, but yeah.
for
Do,
sure.
do your 1 + 1 be equaling 2?
Not all the time.
What? Why would you say that? You childish.
Shit, not
But
all the time, man. Sometimes shit don't be adding up. Shit definitely don't be adding up.
it be coming out to 54 instead of 2.
Yeah, shit be fucked up. Shit be fucked up.
Mm-mm. But yeah, you're absolutely right though. I think that is kind of that is a definitely a touchy subject, especially with people, so many people, a whole lot of the laws,
Yeah,
the
but I see, you know what
rules.
I'm saying? But then, like, see, I guess it's like, I can't really, like, speak on it because, you know what I'm saying, I'm straight or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But you being, you know what I'm saying, bisexual or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you got more leeway than I do, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a part of that community, so at the end of the day, like, I really don't know. I can have an opinion, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, you know,
And that's respect. That's
just my
good.
opinion.
Yeah, that's respect. That's good. Cause some people are just like, no, fuck that shit. Especially people who are religious like you. You will be like, that's a sin, da 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 da. But you not down hard bad like that. Which, that's why.
Oh, nah,
Yeah,
like, people choose to live how they want to live. I am a Christian. I do believe in God and what he said about it, but, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's 2022, you know? Things change, society change, and I believe God will, you know what I'm saying, have mercy on everybody, you know what I'm saying, no matter what your sins are. At least I hope so anyway, because you can't waste sin, you know what I'm saying? So one sin ain't no greater than the other. So
absolutely.
I just hope on Judgment Day that God have mercy on, especially if you're a good person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I really honestly feel like it's a mind thing. I feel like your childhood trauma is just that, your childhood trauma. I feel like we need to learn how to leave your childhood trauma in your childhood. I feel like it's a mind, it's all in your mind. Like, you have to be able to have that mind frame to overcome the traumas that you already overcame. If you survived it, then that was the number one thing that you can do. So now you have to get your mind to survive it. And once you overcome it in your mind, then I feel like it shouldn't affect you.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's kind of what me and a couple other people who chimed in about their opinions on this as well. it all boils down to your mental, and that's what I was saying. And I said this is my third time saying it. Literally, it's about the science of it, because at the end of the day, your brain it boils down to science, like your genetics and what clicks and what doesn't click is a science thing. And like I said, that's the mental of it. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is a different kind of response than what I got from everybody else. But you're absolutely right. If you can't overcome your childhood trauma, that does follow you into your adulthood, and you say, "Oh, this is the reason why that. This is the reason why that." But it's about overcoming. Yeah, the mental, what am I trying to say? The things that took you to a certain place when you were younger. Now you gotta let that go, move on, and start fresh, start new.
You gotta let that go and let God. Yes, you cannot keep. I'm not gonna say like dwelling on it, because going through certain things make us who we are. So it's always good to talk about it, but don't sit and dwell in that pain. Don't sit there and be like, oh, well, I can't get close to a person because I was sexually abused when I was 10. Yeah, that's fucked up. I hate to, it is. I've been through some things myself, and mine was just recently, like last year. I haven't even been a year yet. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to let that stop me from getting close to my loved ones. I'm not going to let that stop me from, from being loved and giving the love that I have inside. But yeah, it's hard. It is hard, but you just can't let it stop you from building the connections that you want to build. If you genuinely want that connection, then you have to do it. You have to have that strong mind frame to do what you need to do to get to where you need to get to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with that being said, what do you think about the solution? Because I know I tell everybody I want you to speak your opinion, and of course I don't want it to be like, what's the problem, what's the problem, what's the problem. What do you seek, or what would you advise a person to feel like, hey, this is my problem? What kind of solution do you think to, I guess, rectify that problem, if that makes sense? Because yeah, you say you need to overcome this, but what does overcoming it look like to you, in your opinion?
In my opinion, is for one, is being able to basically like tell your story, to speak on the things that happen to you without still allowing it to affect you. Some people can't speak on things because they can't actually get it out. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't actually speak on it because it hurts them so much. And I think the number one thing is you got to get that therapy. You got to talk to somebody, and you got to get it out. Like some people don't even want to talk to anybody. They want to like let it sit and fester and not even speak on it. And I don't think that's a good idea. You have to speak on it. Go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like talk to somebody, even if that's just you talking to God. Like in the Black community, a lot of people is real against going to therapy and seeking counseling and stuff, but we got to change that.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's so many stigmas put on negative things. Just like, for an example, somebody saying, well, or you're gay, and that keeps some people from telling their truth, or being who they really want to be, or even going a certain route. So like you said, yeah, it's definitely a lot of things that are frowned upon, not even just in the Black community, but in the world as a whole.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I'm not white or Asian or any other nationality, so I can't say. But I do know from my point of view, from being, African American queen out here, if you gay, they look at it differently. Just like I was talking to somebody before, they was like, well, I think it's bad. Some people like, oh, it's gay. It's okay for a woman to be gay, but for a dude to be gay, it's bad. But that goes back to what we have been introduced to and what has been perceived as the okay, which is not. Like, it's not. Either way, it's the same. But not to say women and men are equal, because we're equal, but there's some stipulations to that, because a man.
It is, yeah, and I always wonder what that is. It's like Black man. It's like just because a man is gay, that don't mean he wants your ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, now you trying to run from the gay man or don't want to be around the gay man, that don't mean he's trying to get you. Like, come on, man. And then I be thinking in my mind, like, is that something that you secretly hiding? Well, why you don't want to, man, why are you against being around a gay man? You get what I'm saying? Like, is that something that you're hiding? Are you undercover? You get what I'm saying? Like, this gayness isn't gonna rub off on you.
Absolutely.
Like, why is you gonna be funny about it? Like me, I was in a relationship with a female for like over 9 years. Like from the age of I started dating girls when I was what 14, like 14. So I was in a relationship with a girl from the age of like 14 up until I had my son. Until like age of 20, I had him. I was 20. Yeah. So I've had what I'm saying, like some weirdness going on because I'm bisexual. But then it's like with the men, the men love. She like girls. You wanna? Oh no, just because I like girls don't mean I wanna have a threesome with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's everything's weird. People are gonna talk about you regardless of what you do or who you are. You just have to dig deep inside and be able to be who you are, regardless of what anybody say or do. Just be you.
Right. And yeah, and with that being said, that's kind of like my opinion on that, because it's like people have a hard time being themselves these days, and it's like, granted, and I said this too earlier, I'm happy that we do live in in 2022. Is like you can like animals, and a motherfucker be like, well, you ain't gotta like what, you gotta respect it. That's kind of how we living right now. Like, everybody's just being, there are more people being their true selves. However, there's a whole lot of follow the leader. So I'm kind of contradicting myself, because what I'm saying is, like, you get on social media and people see, bundles, long lashes, long nails, and think, oh, that's the wave I want to be on. However, you got some people like, oh, well, you're supposed to be this hardcore, tough gangster, so you got to perceive this image. However, deep down inside, you're a man who like men, and you thinking like you can't do both, which at the end of the day, like I said, we live in 2022, so you do have some of those people who like, look, I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna be me regardless, because like I said, as a 90s baby, which I ain't gonna lie, I was born in 91, so technically I lived through the 90s. However, when I really grew up and understood things, it was the 2000s. With that being said, that's when people really start really coming out their shell, or it really was accepted. But we are getting off topic, but that's okay. That's the beauty of this right here. But yeah, that with that being said, it's like we're living in an era where a lot of people, I feel like it became a trend versus, like you said, you being your true self, and I don't like that. Like with the whole you saying, oh, somebody saying just because a woman gay, she like men. No, like that's not always the case. Like, come on now, you grossing me out, man. You grossing me out. But
yeah, I have a family member, and he's gay, but I mean he's bisexual. He likes girls and he likes guys, and me, and I'm like, you are who you are, but when he get around females and stuff, he want to act like, you get what I'm saying, like. You don't have to lie about who you are. I understand, yeah, it might not be the first thing, like, oh, hey, shorty, you sexy, I'm gay, what's up? You know what I'm saying? I know it's not gonna come off like that, but don't lie about the situation. You get what I'm saying? Especially if you're having unprotected sex. Like, I feel like you have to be completely honest about everything, and then going back, like, don't be out here having unprotected sex, and you don't know who the hell you having sex with.
yeah, and that. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm not gonna do.
Right.
And I don't think it's right for you to do that either. Like, you got to get right within yourself to not even say that to anybody. Like,
right.
why would you tell somebody don't say that and that's who you are?
Right. That's just it's just the false representation that you want to perceive to people. What you, like you said, if you want to be with somebody, or you find yourself sleeping with that person, and exactly, if you're unprotected, you definitely want to have your full truth. However, With that being said, I think a lot of people, um, kind of going back, like you saying that they unprotected. Once you start seeing somebody unprotected, I think it's both parties' responsibility to know who they dealing with. Like, come on now, like, yeah, don't be out here and he do something to you and you like blaming all him. You can't blame all on him because like if you let him up, you wrong. So, but
That can end you wrong. You allow that to happen, so of course they gonna go in wrong. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I had one, you know, I can't even.
right,
I just don't know. You allow God, like, hold on. I understand sometimes because these women, they're beautiful. We're
right,
beautiful queens out here.
right,
You get what I'm saying? No, it's not okay. I'm not saying it's an excuse to give a man to be a dog,
right,
but you know,
right,
sometimes I understand. Shit. Sometimes I'm like, man, if I. Yes, it could. Why? Because depending on what circumstance was, who the circumstance was with, you know, can affect all of it. If it was, you know, a young girl in her uncle or something, it may not make her not want to deal with men because she likes it for a woman. But that was already within her as well. Because it's not like a learned behavior. If it was a young male and something happened with another man, it could make him more, it could turn him, you know, into like a sex addict, or it could make him be more respectful to women or men. Yeah. So it just depends on the circumstances. Yes, it could. 9 times out of 10, yes, it does, because you've already been subjected to it, or you know, in that situation. So it opens up a lot of doors that probably wouldn't be opened up until later in life.
okay. And I think we kind of all are on the same page with that. Not to say, because he was saying like a lot of times people who are homosexual or bisexual, they say things like, hey, I was made this way, I was born this way. However, I do believe that does play a part, and as Cartel was saying, he was saying more so of he don't want to take that from them, and plus he just have an opinion because he's straight. So with that being said, he's straight, he really don't know, he really can't say. But my opinion is, like you said, it sometimes can be a learned behavior. And with that being said, I feel like mine was a learned behavior. I feel like it happened so young, it was instilled in me. And with that being said, it's just like, you get your baby to brush their teeth every day. By the time they're at a certain age, they're going to know to brush their teeth every day. Now, sometimes I ain't going to lie, it don't happen that way because mine's be 12, 13, 15 years old. They still don't wake up and make their bed like they supposed to. So I do believe in the science of it, but you're right. But you said another part that was a little different, which is you're saying,
That's just how going statistics and then going with, you know, maybe not personal experience, possible personal experience, or family experience. That's usually how it happens, or what happens as a result of it. And in other cases, it could make it where people don't want to be touched ever, and then that opens up something different because now it messes with their trust, and so then they just shut down to everything. But that opens up other doors for other mental issues. Another topic, but yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you're right. It does. It definitely affects your mental, and that's what I was saying earlier too. That's kind of like the science of it. Now, he went into something else about chromosomes that we have and genetics that we have, and that's, I'm gonna be honest, I know it, but that's not a thought in the front of my brain. You get what I'm saying? Like, you learn that in school, but that thought was always in the back of my head. Now, scientifically, like I said, it all boils down to a science. So, with that being said, once something like that, like I said, a traumatic event happens, it affects your mental, and when it affects your mental, that's when the signs come into it. Like, you might end up being one of the people who are depressed, who are suicidal, or just feel dirty, because that's the feeling I get when somebody do something to me that I don't want to be done to me. I don't know about everybody else. I'm only talking from a personal experience, and it happened when I was a little older, so I wasn't so confused on how to feel. That was my actual feeling at that moment, like, oh, this dirty, why is this happening to me? And sometimes we project those feelings on ourselves and think it's our fault. So yeah, I agree with that part, like that, how the mental can kind of go left, but I didn't think about that. But yeah, definitely. Now, as far as if you are, something like molested or something by somebody of the same sex, I don't know about it making you more sexually active. But I think if it happens to you while you're younger, it might make you more sexually active. But I do think that might trigger you to be, homosexual. I do think that. But I think, yeah, the younger it happens, that's more triggering that, like, and like you said, it's a mental thing. It goes in your brain to tell you, okay, this is what I like because I've been doing it for so long. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's just my thing with that. But what I want to do is, like I was telling him, I'm gonna find some people that I know. Like, I know women who are bisexual, and I know a few men who are just strictly homosexual. I want to ask them, have they been through anything, or how long, or what was their first memory of being a homosexual? You know what I mean? Because those are the ones that's just gonna have the more valid opinions, or going stamp it, or put the nail in the coffin type of situation. Because like I said, like Cartel was saying, we're only, on outside looking in. However, like I said, I want to say I probably had sex with the same amount of men as women, but relationship wise, I've been with men. You know what I mean? So with that being said, not to say my opinion don't count. However, I think my opinion that is valid as somebody who's been with. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.
Well, I mean, all opinions count because, again, we're all human.
Absolutely.
So everyone can speak on it, but I do have some friends that, they've told me this is why they chose to be gay or homosexual.
Yeah, you were saying you were saying that everybody's opinion matter, and you were actually told by people who are homosexual that was the reason for them choosing to be that way, or not even choosing or becoming that way.
Right.
So yeah, that.
Choosing to be that way.
Yeah, cause I already said I want to word it correctly, cause I'm gonna be honest, this is a very tender subject, and I ain't gonna lie. And he was like, I don't want to talk about this because this one, it is tender. It's very, if you're not gay, people say, oh, yeah, yeah, and it makes people feel like, oh, you talking about me, or you look down on me, and it's not a looking down. It's just an observation. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not really observation. It's just that we're inquiring. Like, you see that, it's just really, yes. Well, I mean, not even observation. You see everything, but you can't judge by what you see. But it's like a inquiring. Why? Just, inquisitive minds, inquiring minds want to know. But some people aren't comfortable with their sexuality, whether heterosexual or homosexual. However, they don't like to talk about that. Talk about the subject, period. But it's not pointing fingers or anything. It's pretty much just saying, did this affect you? Did it not? Could it have? How I feel.
Right. Absolutely. And another thing is, a lot of times, like I said, it's the people on the other end that wants to get up and be defensive all the time about it. And it's like, you can't be defensive when, like you said, it's just inquiring minds want to know. That's my mom used to always say. She's always said that, let's say. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It just, well, did it? But they'll kind of like And I want to say, like I said, I really have to get somebody on here because with that being said, people are kind of like, oh, well, no, that's not the reason why. But me, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be straightforward. Like, me thinking back, like, that's probably what it is because if I didn't know, I would have never tried. You know what I mean? That's just like a child eating new foods. Oh, well, I ain't never ate fruit before, so I ain't never tried fruit before. Versus you ate meat before, so you eat meat. Yeah, this is what I like. This is what I eat. You know that's what you like because that's something you tried before. That's what you've been introduced to. Now, granted, there are times when somebody's introduced to something, they're like, oh, well, nope, I don't like this. So,
or people that kind of like suppressing the feeling for the longest time, and they go to jail, and they go in one way, and they come out another. Well, it's not that, oh, you didn't want you to turn you're gay. No. But I understand was probably feelings that were just suppressed for a long time, or you couldn't come out, should I say, or you just couldn't express how you felt because it wasn't society approved.
yes, baby girl, yes.
So,
you just hit it.
So
you
then
just
you go in there, and that's all you had, that's all you fixed.
Yeah, that's like I got the cringe face on right now because it's like, dang, baby girl, you just hit another point. You know, it's like everybody's a fear of judgment. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, a lot of times people do lie to themselves and say, hey, no, I'm not this way, I'm not this way, I'm not this way. But then you got some people that actually can say, hey, that's not for me, and they actually go in there and it's just like a lot of times people will come to me and say, oh, that person's gay. And I'm like, well, no, just because they do this or act a certain way. Like you have some men who are raised by women and they're not gay. But you have some people where something has happened to them, they do have feminine ways. And they just like, well, I'm not telling nobody I'm gay because I'm scared. You know what I mean? And that backfires. That backfires bad because then you will end up, I'm gonna be honest, when I say that I speak of myself. I end up in situations where I'm settling or I'm not happy or I'm like back and forth confused as people say because it's just like, well, this is what I want to do, but it's frowned upon. It's not what you're supposed to do. That's why I'm so happy about the way things are going as far as like everybody's so free to do what they want. However, I don't like the way it's done. Now that is another subject for another day, but it's just like I'm on YouTube or whatever, and I see a commercial trying to put a video on for the girls, and there's a freaking eHarmony commercial, you know, basically exposing this shit to my children. Like, and that proves my point. The earlier you exposed to it, the earlier you look forward to that, or you think about that, or it's even brought up to you. However, I want to get to them before somebody else does. Not to say I want to sway them to be a certain way. However, I just don't want it to be an option at all. Because we need to think about careers before we think about other things. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that's just
it's easy to talk to people kind of now because like I said, it's society approved. So more people are easier to talk to, should I say? But then, that's when a lot of fake stuff starts coming into play, and then people fabricating stories over, oh, well, this is how it happens, this is why, or, like I like talking to older people, so they're going to give it to you straight. This is why. And I feel like that's more valid, or that's more heartfelt, sentimental when it comes to somebody, like an older person versus the newer generation. The newer generation, it's kind of down for whatever. I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're absolutely right. The older ones will definitely tell you because at the end of the day, the older ones are the ones that have to shelter it in, and then at the end of the day, I feel like they're also the ones who are easily, noticeably, a certain way. And I could be wrong with that because you got, like I said, you got some men who are just very masculine appearance wise, but when they get to talking, you be like, whoa. You get what I'm saying? So with that being, yeah. So with that being said, it's like a give and take situation. But of course, I mean, like I said, we're gonna get as many people on here as possible, and I'm gonna let you know as soon as I post this, so you can see everybody else's opinion, cause like you said, everybody's opinion does matter, and like I said, the whole goal of this is to not complain, but hear somebody's story so you can find that right solution. Of course, as always, I do value your time, ma'am, and I value your opinion. So, does your childhood trauma, such as sometimes sexual situations like being molested or whatnot, does it affect your sexuality and your appetite? Like, do you think it does affect it or it don't affect it? Like, you just grow up to be what you want to be, or yeah, if you sit around and you watch porn at like 4 years old, then you grow up to be like a sex addict type of thing, for an example. Or a lot of people say, well, I've been touched on by my uncle, and it's a boy, and they'll be like, well, that's why I'm gay. That's I ain't gonna say that's everybody's story, but in my opinion, I feel like that's the majority of people's story behind homosexuality. However, you do have people, and I can't speak for them, where they be like, no, I was born this way. This is what I wanted to be, and this is me being true to myself. Which, granted, I'm not arguing that at all, but I do feel like there are a lot of stories, and I want to say majority of the stories, where people are, I guess it's
Majority of gay people would say they was born gay, in my opinion. They wouldn't say I was molested, because then that would go against the choose born gay and choosing to be gay, in my opinion. Now, I feel you coming from it. I'm not arguing or disagreeing with you, but I feel like after all the LGBT community went through, they sound like a bunch of hypocrites if they agree to that.
Man, cut it out, cut it out. But no, you're right though. But you know what? That's why I said I ain't gonna lie. I got this one dude I want to ask him, but I can't even get in touch with him to even talk to him. But I really want to ask a nice amount of people and ask them, hey, I'm not saying did you choose it or not, but did that happen to you? That's like a yes or no question. And like I said, I'm not taking anything from that person, but my thing was, and what I was talking to Cartel about, he was like, by him being straight, he really can't say, he has a valid point or opinion on it. But he did point out some things that made sense. Sometimes the way somebody's genetics are made, of course, it might make them more masculine, might make them more feminine, or whatever the case may be. However, in my opinion, from my experience and from the reason why I am the way I am, I ain't gonna lie, I think it's because that's how I started out. Like, I started out, you know, like that was my first time ever doing something inappropriate. You know what I mean? So not to say, oh, I don't like women for real. It's just in my head. I just think that played a part in it, and that's just my opinion. But like you said, I feel like a whole lot of people who are homosexual, who are bisexual, would not say, oh, I'm not gay because somebody touched me. Like I said, and I don't think it's the majority of them. I think, like you said, I think a majority of them will say, this is how I was born. But in my opinion, I think the majority of them are that way because of something that happened. And
I mean, I feel it. Me too. Because I don't believe that you could be born with a sexual preference. In my opinion, it's not something that's like you're born now on
you do know. So what are you saying? If you, because this is the thing. And it sounds like this is what you're getting at. You saying that it's a learned behavior. And I want to say I contradict myself on this one, because I'll be like, well, shit, I like what I like. But at the same time, it has to be introduced to you for you to even like it. And
exactly, because you can't say you came out the womb liking that, because you don't even remember the first 3 years. So if you can't barely remember the first 3 years of your life, how can you say you was born with a sexual preference? And also,
yeah. And that's basically what Trina was saying as well.
nature versus nurture. Like your environment plays a role as well as the nurture you receive. Like when I put this. little boy, and my mom kept me in the bathroom wearing her heels, wearing her dresses, trying on her makeup and lipstick. Now some people might don't say anything is wrong with that, but that can play against learning to be more feminine and like in man. Some people will put a nail in that coffin right then and there, and and be like, don't do that. You're not supposed to wear women's clothes, which is also still learning. Because like I said, I don't believe no one's born with a sexual preference, so you learn to be straight too. Can't go both. You got to go both ways.
Absolutely.
But if you're a parent that don't really care and be like and just laugh it off and let them do that, and if they don't really remember doing that, but it's still in their subconscious, that can play a role on why they like who they like now. Because when they was a little kid, you had them, didn't care if they were dressing up and doing makeup and, or like for instance, and then it also plays a role to me if you don't really have male role model in your life. Like for me, for instance, I have my dad in my life, but I had more feminine ways growing up because I was raised with my grandma and my mom. So as I'm seeing the stuff that they do, I'm not really seeing all the stuff that my dad do. I don't know what's masculine and what's feminine because I don't know those terms. I haven't been taught that yet. So it's more of a monkey see, monkey do mindset that I have at that age that I'm at. So I'm seeing more of my mom and my grandma do stuff more than I see my dad do it. Well, I'm gonna copy my mom and my grandma more. You feel me? Like I'm gonna do more woman stuff. You feel me? Like I remember when my mom used to get her fingernails done, her nails done, her pedicure manicure. She would get my fingernails with that gloss paint, And so I'm not saying I'm getting fingernail polish now, but if I was more like agreeing or supportive with men getting their fingernails polished, I can't say I was born with that. I would more likely say, well, I remember my mom giving me that when I was a kid. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I was getting my fingernails painted when I was young. It wasn't color, but it was getting done, So I don't know.
Right. And and I ain't gonna lie, like I ain't gonna never take your credibility from you because at the end of the day, even though it might be an opinion, it's still your opinion. So it's not that you don't know. That's just how you feel. That's your opinion. But granted, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why I said I don't want to take from people like how they feel, what they feel like is true to them. However, at the end of the day, I made and I don't know if you can put these two in the same category. It might sound crazy to some people, but it's just like if you grow up eating steak, you never eat fruit. You can't say you like fruit or you don't like fruit because you never tried it. Now, granted, there are some situations where a motherfucker might eat a kiwi and be like, oh, well, I tried the kiwi and I don't like it. And that kind of drifted off to the point where you got some people like, and one of the girls, Toffee, she was saying, like, yeah, some men be acting like the gay can rub off on them. Now, with that being said, you got some people who are homophobic because, yeah, they might be hiding their insecurities. However, you got some people who have been taken advantage of by somebody of the same sex, and that creates that homophobic ways. So that goes back to what I was saying about the kiwi. Like, yeah, you tried the kiwi, but you don't like it. Now, granted, it might have been messed up how it happened, but that's just not your cup of tea. But at the end of the day, that's like, even though your mom might have introduced some feminine ways to you, that wasn't your cup of tea. That's not what you do. Because like you said, you're still not going to get your nails polished. Like, granted, in my opinion, I think a man getting his feet done is one thing. And it's just my perspective. It might sound crazy, but I think the feet is okay. But when you get your hands done and you getting like polish on and stuff, I think that's too much. Like, granted, I know the men that work hard or whatever and like doing like construction work and stuff. If you want to get your nails soaked and get them clean, I'm okay with that. But when you put the polish on it where it's clear, black, orange, blue, white, fuck that. No, it's a no for me. But like I said, these are all just our opinions. But I'm definitely down for a man getting his feet done because like the whole man and female thing. Most women feet look better than men for some reason. I don't know why. Most men have like athlete's foot. Most men are the ones with them rough feet. You know, not to say they don't do the same thing we do, but even if you do, I don't know why that is. I don't know, kind of popped in my head. But most men feet do look worse than women. Do you think that? I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, that just popped in my head. Like most men, yeah.
I'll be walking around looking at niggas' feet, but
I know, right. But
but you gotta remember, niggas, the majority of niggas play more sports than females. Or majority of niggas do more construction than females. So it's
true.
Like, it's certain shit, you gotta think about. And also, y'all keep y'all feet better because y'all wear different types of shoes that show off y'all feet. Men don't. So they're not really gonna give a fuck. You feel me?
True. You're right. Okay, good point. Because I could say, my whole thought process of that one was like, you got some women that don't get their feet done, and then you got men who don't get their feet done, but still the man's feet look worse. But at the same time, like you said, most men jobs are like constructions or whatnot. The type of shoes they're wearing, those shoes are hard on your feet. You're gonna have like knuckles. You're gonna have like to wear 2-3 pairs of socks and stuff like that because it's cold out, and wearing them heavy boots. And versus a woman, she might just go to some type of job where she can wear regular shoes, comfortable shoes all day. Whether she working at a Walmart, wearing some comfortable shoes and one pair of socks.
Even if she's not wearing comfortable shoes, if she wearing heels, her feet exposed, so she gonna make sure her shit not crusty.
Right. Well, yeah, with that being said, I ain't gonna lie. I think I only got my feet done like maybe twice in my whole life. Yeah, I only got them done like twice in my whole life, but that's because, like, for one, of course, I ain't had the money for it like that, and I would go get my nails done because I value my hands over my feet, but I always had, like, I ain't never really had no rough-ass feet anyway, so it was like, whatever. But when I finally got it done, it just was, I had soft-ass feet, so it was like, that tickles, and it just seemed so immature of me to be sitting there like, I don't want you to touch my feet, that shit tickles, like, so I only got them done like twice, but other than that,
to cut you off.
What?
you see, I ain't putting that, but you just made me think about something, talking about all this feet shit, and you should do this one day too as a topic because I find it more. It's crazy because I thought it's crazy how much I'm finding more and more niggas don't do this, and I think this plays a role into what you're saying. But let me ask you first. When you take a shower, do you wash your feet, or you just say the water and the soap going to your feet so it's getting washed in the rest? Or do you literally bend over and wash your feet? Or do you put your legs up and wash your feet? Like, how do you do it?
I wish you could see my face right now because it's like, that seemed like an obvious answer, which I think is crazy too, the pattern that people wash in. But okay, just to get straight to your answer, I definitely wash my feet. I started the top down. And I'm going to be honest, I done heard a couple men say
they don't wash their feet. Right?
No, not even wash their feet. They started their privates first. Why are you starting at your privates? Like, and then you.
Okay. That's another topic. Let's focus on this feet for a minute.
Okay.
Because that's where you're starting at. I feel you, man. But some people might look at it. You still use the soap. You can rewash, you rinse it. But that's another topic. But I have met niggas or spoke to niggas who have been saying that they don't wash their feet because I first heard it from my cousin, and this was a while ago. A while ago. Like, we was little, and we had a conversation, but I'm like, why you don't wash your feet? I wash my feet. I literally lift my feet up, and I wash my feet. I don't bend over, no gay shit like that, like I'm dropping the soap or nothing. But I guess I feel like that's what some niggas feel like. But I'm like, I just lift my leg up. But I was on the party chat on the game with my nigga from North Carolina, the one I got my clothes from, and he brought that topic up one day, asking niggas. And I was like, shit, I wash my feet. And he was like, he don't. And a couple other niggas in there was like, they don't either. And I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong. I was like, well, shit, and then it made me think about, well, maybe my grandma told me wash my feet. Maybe I had dads or something. I don't know, y'all laugh, because
I'm washing,
yeah.
I don't
know. It's like, I wash my feet. Like, it's just something, I feel like it's part of my body. It's like, I feel like, I don't know. I even wash my fucking back, my nigga. Like, I don't know. That shit crazy.
So with that being said, you're absolutely right, and it sounds kind of crazy, but you know what? They might play a part in like why a lot of men have those feet fungus, or why they have athlete feet a lot.
Right, because if you don't wash your feet, that means you don't dry your feet. So your shit just got water all stuck in that bitch. And I don't know.
Yeah, but you gotta think you got all the dirty water at the bottom of your tub or whatever, and
all the water that's hitting your feet is the dirt water.
and it's not being cleaned out. So say things like, Leia, put it back.
Pepe, I'm gonna kill you.
Don't do that. Don't say that. Don't say that. I'm still recording. I'm still recording. Let me stop now. I said don't say that. I said okay. we got to bleep that part out. Bleep that part out. But yeah. With that being said, yeah, man. Yeah, that's the only way I can catch you out, cause you be on some weird shit. Like, what you say? You like, huh? When you did kind of did that today, you will be having me repeat the same thing like over and over and over again. But yeah, either way, with that being said, that's a good point. And I mean, that's right, that right there is the whole point of this, because you got some people that be like, yeah, I don't wash my feet, and then hearing that as a man, they're gonna be like, well, hold on, the water is down there, the dirty soap is going down there. Let me start washing my feet. Take better care of yourself. Have better hygiene, because at the end of the day, I don't even know how gout is done or how it go, but maybe it'll keep a motherfucker from getting gout. Maybe it'll keep a motherfucker from getting athlete's foot. You know what I mean? So
Or staph infection.
that, yeah, absolutely. There's a whole lot to that. But yeah, man, hopefully somebody will take heed to that and understand like the importance of washing your body in its entirety, and certain things, just because you wash your feet, it ain't a feminine thing, it's a being clean thing. So yeah, definitely.